So Avi Loeb just released new information about 3I Atlas today, and we are now officially discovering the 12th anomaly of this object. But I think this one is probably the weirdest one yet, because the math we've been using for 100 years is completely failing to explain it. Loeb has 3 different theories on why this is happening, but let's first break down what the newest anomaly actually is. So 7 different telescopes observed how fast 3I Atlas rotates, and we got a super precise number. It spins once every 16.16 hours. We measured this multiple times between July and August and got the same result every time. So in a previous video, we talked about how these images from November 9th reveal the object has massive jets of gas stretching for millions of kilometers into space. Well, Loeb calculated that at the speed this gas is traveling, it would take about 1 whole month for the gas to go from the surface all the way out to where we see the end of these jets. Now, here's where everything breaks down. During that 1 month of travel time, how many times does 3I Atlas complete a full rotation? Well, the object spins once every 16.16 hours, so that is about 1.5 rotations per day. Over 30 days, the object completes about 45 full spins. So, when a spinning object in space ejects material, basic physics says that that material must spread out as the object rotates. The material should keep traveling in a straight line while the object keeps turning, so you end up with trails pointing in many different directions. This is how rotating comets work. But the pictures of 3I Atlas show us that the jets look like laser beams. They are sharp, they are narrow, they are not smeared out into fuzzy spirals. Each jet points in one specific direction and stays that way across 1 million kilometers of space. This should not be physically possible if the object is completing 45 rotations while the gas is traveling. Another thing I'd like to point out again, which no one seems to be talking about, is that just a few days before these images, we got these images revealing absolutely no jets and tails at all, which I think is an anomaly in itself. But let's not get distracted from the topic of the 12th anomaly here. So remember how I told you that Avi Loeb has 3 different theories on this? Well, there are actually 4. I just don't agree with the 4th one. Let me walk you through each one and why they are all problematic. Theory 1 is that maybe the rotation slowed down dramatically since July. If the object barely spins anymore, then the jets would not get smeared out by rotation. But this explanation has a big problem. When gas shoots off a comet unevenly, it actually makes the comet spin faster, not slower. Plus, we have images from November 11th showing the object is still intact and behaving normally, so as far as we know, nothing catastrophic happened to change its rotation. Theory 2 is about the object's surface features. Maybe there are deep valleys with tall mountains around them. Ice sits at the bottom of these valleys. As the object rotates, the mountains block sunlight most of the time, but once per rotation, the sun angle lines up perfectly and sunlight hits the ice for a brief period. The ice heats up and shoots out gas, then gets shadowed again. This would create jets that pulse on and off every 16 hours instead of spraying constantly. But here is the problem. If jets pulse on and off every 16 hours and it takes gas 1 month to travel outward, then you would see separated puffs of gas spaced out along the jet like beads on a string. The observations show smooth, continuous jets instead of dozens of separate puffs. His 3rd theory is that maybe the object did actually break apart and we are looking at debris trails, but we already confirmed that the object didn't break, so unless there was some kind of mistake while taking the images, theory 3 fails too. Before we get to Loeb's 4th theory, I want you to remember that this is not the first impossible thing about 3I Atlas, not the 2nd or 5th either. This is the 12th. The object has way more nickel than any known comet. It only contains 4% water when comets are supposed to be mostly ice. Its light polarization is unlike anything ever measured. It arrived from almost the exact direction as the famous WOW signal from 1977. It brightened faster than any comet ever observed, and it reflects light in ways that match no natural space rock we have studied. Every time scientists find a normal explanation, the next observation breaks it. First, it was a normal comet, then the data showed almost no water, maybe a dry comet then, but the polarization came back completely wrong. So maybe an asteroid. But asteroids do not produce millions of kilometers jets. Every answer creates three new questions. And now we have this rotation problem. The jets are doing something that normal physics says they cannot do. We are now using spectrographs to figure out exactly what is inside those jets and how fast the material is actually moving. This data is critical because it will tell us if we are dealing with normal comet gas or something else entirely. If the measurements come back showing water vapor and carbon dioxide moving at 1,400 kilometers per hour, then maybe there is some natural explanation nobody has thought of yet. Maybe there is some weird physics happening with ancient interstellar ice that we have never seen before because we have never studied an object this old from outside our solar system. But if those measurements come back strange, if the gas is moving at the wrong speed, or the composition does not match solar heated ice, or the amount of mass being ejected is impossible for the object's size, then the natural explanations are going to be in serious trouble. And this is where we get to Loeb's fourth theory. What if these jets are not ice melting at all? What if they are actually technological thrusters? Think about how spacecraft work. When a spacecraft fires thrusters for navigation, those thrusters point in specific directions on purpose. Even if the spacecraft itself is tumbling and rotating, the thruster system maintains global orientation. It knows which way is up and which way is down relative to space, not relative to the spinning body. So the thrust always pushes in the correct direction no matter how the spacecraft is oriented at that moment. If 3I Atlas has some kind of propulsion system that would completely explain why the jets stay pointed in fixed directions despite the object rotating 45 times, the thruster system would fire at the right moments to keep the overall thrust vectors constant. This is exactly what you would need if you were trying to navigate through space. In the next few weeks, we are getting that spectroscopy data, which will tell us what exactly is in those jets. We are also getting velocity measurements and mass calculations. If the data shows normal comet behavior, then scientists need to figure out what natural mechanism keeps jets straight despite 45 rotations. That would be a major physics discovery. But if the measurements come back showing something solar heating cannot produce, then we might be looking at the first object in human history that does not fit our understanding of how the universe works. Either way, what we are seeing right now should not be possible, and the answer is going to change everything. If you watch to the end, let me know which theory you think fits here, or if you have a theory of your own, feel free to share it. Drop me a like, and I wish you a blessed week.